Merry Christmas and welcome to Game Reviews by James. In the spirit of the season, I will be looking at a game that has intrigued me since the moment I laid my eyes on the cover art, and that is Daze Before Christmas for the SNES. Now this title has a bit of an interesting history. Although the game was developed by Sunsoft's United States-based branch, the game never released in North American territories at all. Instead, it got a very small release on the SNES in PAL regions and released on the Sega Genesis in Australia only, making it one of the most uncommon European releases on either system. The title was planned for a North American release, but it was scrapped because Sunsoft's US-based division went under. The only way to play it in the rest of the world is via an emulator or reproduction pack. I will be doing the latter for this video. Daze Before Christmas begins with a nice upbeat rendition of Jingle Bells, with a bouncy title screen. The game opens with a story that's maybe a little more involved than it ought to be, but the gist of it is that while Santa Claus was sleeping, an evil clock called the Timekeeper and an evil snowman break into his workshop and kidnap all of his elves and steal all of his gifts. Santa Claus must sleep like a rock then. I mean, if they did all of this without him waking up, maybe he had some help from Jack Daniels. Anyway, he awakes to see that everything's gone, so now it's his job to get all of his elves and gifts back before December 25th and save Christmas. Since there are 24 days before Christmas, that's how many stages are in the game. The map is reminiscent of an advent calendar, which I thought was pretty neat. Each level begins with a humorous image similar to what you might see in a Christmas card. That too I thought was pretty cool. So far this game has all of the Christmas charm, and it doesn't really feel like a cash-in like a lot of other Christmas games, but how's the gameplay? Well, I was pleasantly surprised to learn that the gameplay is all very solid. The game is the standard 90s platformer, which I have no problem at all with. The goal is to get to the end of the stage and collect the golden Christmas tree star. Along the way, you'll want to collect as many gifts as you can. Some of the gifts have kidnapped elves in them, some of them have a prize, and some of them have bombs in them. As far as I can tell, the presents don't do much of anything except build up your high score, which in this day and age isn't really a selling point, but you can never really have too many gifts, right? There's a rather nice enemy variety here, but none of them pose too much of a threat. Santa has a magic attack which takes out most enemies in a single hit. Occasionally he can find a fireball attack, but instances of this are few and far between. Santa can also jump on enemies' heads to take them out, which I actually didn't discover until the last level of the game, funnily enough. Santa moves around pretty fluidly and quickly, and has incredible jumping range. Come to think of it, everything moves around rather quickly. You've certainly got to be on your toes. A lot of the time, I was just moving forward and using my magic at the same time because enemies are too fast to avoid in some circumstances. One of the more unique mechanics is if you find a glass of hot cocoa to drink, Santa will transform into Anti-Claus, which is the manifestation of Santa's dark side. Anti-Claus can go around without being hurt, and he viciously beats enemies with his sack of frozen oranges. Hey, it's not the first time Santa went a little crazy after drinking hot cocoa.
I think Santa feels a little buzz!
Also, why include an evil version of Santa? Is it because Santa is an anagram for Satan? Who knows? Overall, Daze Before Christmas has a surprisingly deep gameplay structure, but it isn't completely without flaws. I think flat out the biggest issue in the game is that it seems like the camera is just too zoomed in. A lot of the time it's hard to tell where to go next, or where it's safe to jump. So, more times than a few, you'll be making leaps of faith. This is made even worse because it seems like the sections where you have to guess where to jump are the ones strewn with bottomless pits. Look, I know why they did this. If they didn't, the sprites wouldn't be as detailed and jovial as in the final product. From what I've seen, the screen crunch is an issue in the Genesis version too. The screen crunch is forgivable in my opinion though, because it doesn't really deteriorate my spirit while playing. No, the aspect that dulled my enjoyment a touch were the ropes and chains. I don't know what it was, it just seemed like you had to be way too exact to grab onto them, and they felt really awkward to jump off of as well. I don't know, I just never got comfortable with them. Thankfully, only one level in the game features them prominently, but if you ask me to go through that level again...
No can do!
Alright, I've discussed the main gameplay already, but there are a few other varieties of stage in the game too. And a review wouldn't be complete without talking about them too, so here goes. Firstly, let's talk about the present delivery stages. Santa takes to the sky in his sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, and it's now your job to drop the presents down the chimneys of all the good girls and boys. You'll go to the UK with Big Ben and Parliament, Mother Russia where they build rockets and play Tetris, Japan where lots of great video game titles are made, and the US where we've got footballs and the Statue of Liberty. Yup, that's pretty much America right there. The other levels, of course, are the boss fights. There are 4 of these in total, and they all vary in difficulty. The first boss, the evil snowman, is pretty darn easy. Just melt him before he pelts you to death with snowballs. The timekeeper just rolls around, and when he stops, all you have to do is hit him with magic. The giant rat is a little more involved because you have to drop a barbell on him before he leaves himself open to attack. And the final boss shoots lightning bolts at you that you have to reflect right back into his face. The bosses are pretty standard fare, but I like how they all explode when they are defeated. One last thing I failed to mention is the soundtrack. The soundtrack is great. It's oozing with Christmas time cheer and instrumentation. Whether it be an original piece made for the game or an arrangement of a classical Christmas tune, every piece of music in the game had my ears perked up and sucking in the glorious sound. Once you complete the game, Santa sits back in front of the fire with a nice cup of tea and rests. Ah, that's the life right there. After the credits rolled and I put my name into the high score page, I actually, to my surprise, felt a little post-holiday gloom set in, knowing that the game was over and I wouldn't really be able to play it for a whole nother year. For you see, I really enjoyed Daze Before Christmas. It's a solid game on the Super Nintendo, and dare I say it, a hidden gem amongst the glut of games on the system. I was pleasantly surprised by how much fun I had in this game, especially given the chore I had in some of the games I covered in Christmases of the past. If you have the means to play it, it's an extremely fun romp through the North Pole and an equally enjoyable 16-bit platformer. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe, because...
Clark, that's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
Otherwise, have a Merry Christmas and a great night. Thanks.